Recently on the History Channel, History's Greatest Mysteries, narrated and hosted by Lawrence Fishburne, aired an episode searching for the Garden of Eden. History's Greatest Mysteries, the Garden of Eden. I, of course, have nothing against Lawrence Fishburne. He's fantastic. He is the voice of the Silver Surfer, Skyrider of the Spaceways, one of my favorite comic book figures. Of course, he's also Morpheus in the famous movie The Matrix. But in this series, History's Greatest Mysteries, they are looking for a literal location of the Garden of Eden. And they've done other History's Greatest Mysteries on different Bible subjects, looking for the search for Noah's Ark and the search for the Ark of the Covenant and the search for the Holy Grail. And all of these are treating those places like the Garden of Eden or those objects like the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, the Ark of Noah, as if they existed in literal terrestrial history, and they didn't. The stories of the Bible are based on celestial metaphor. These objects and places exist in the sky. We can see them today. It's too bad that the writers of this series didn't come to me and ask me to also be on those shows and explain, well, some researchers, including David Matheson, believe that these stories are myths. In common with all the other myths of the world, they are based on metaphor, celestial metaphor. The History Channel even had, a couple years ago, a physical magazine that was all about these same four subjects, searching for the ruins of Noah's Ark, the physical, actual, historical, literal, terrestrial Holy Grail, the location of Eden on planet Earth, and the Ark of the Covenant. Now, I've talked about all of these different subjects as being based on the stars. In my two online courses, the Celestial Bible Tour Part 1 and the Celestial Bible Tour Part 2, I go through in detail some of the most popular and famous Bible stories and show how they're based on the stars, and show in each case how they're talking about profound truths, but they're doing that using these mythological stories. Those stories are based on the stars, just like the world's ancient myths from cultures around the world. They're based on the stars. I talked about the location of the Garden of Eden. We can see it in the heavens. We can still see Adam and Eve and the serpent getting thrown out of the garden if we look up into the night sky. I've talked about the Genesis flood. In fact, in my Celestial Bible Tour, I have two entire chapters. They're 10 to 12 hours long each course, and they're broken down into approximately 1 hour long lectures, and I have two entire sections on the Genesis flood and what it is talking about, what it represents, how we can tell that it is celestial. I talk about the Ark of the Covenant. So these are celestial metaphors. They have to do with this worldwide ancient system. In order to understand it, you have to understand what the system is built on, and it's built on the movements of the heavens, which are not impossible to learn, but they are something that we're really never taught in traditional schooling. You can go all the way from beginning to end of your formal schooling, all the way up through 12 grades of high school and then beyond into college, 4 years, 8 years, 10 years of post-high school, post-secondary, tertiary education, they call it in some countries, without ever once being told how the mechanics of the heavens work, why the path of the ecliptic drops down below the celestial equator during part of the year and then rises up above the celestial equator during part of the year. Here's what it looks like from an observer's point of view on the Earth. I just showed it on an armillary sphere from China. This is the same phenomenon as viewed from the Earth, the path of the ecliptic going up above the equator, the celestial equator, and then dropping back down below. It's not that difficult to understand, and the entire ancient system of myth can be shown to be based on these heavenly cycles and motions. It's like the yawning of a great mouth, yawning up above the celestial equator and then closing back down to the celestial equator and going back up above. The ancient myths are based on these heavenly cycles, and they are dramatizing what's going on inside of us. They are giving us profound truths and illustrating, as one of their central themes, the concept of alienation. Alienation, in fact, from self, and pointing our way towards recovery from that alienation. The profound stories in the Bible contain truths that we need, but they are not based on literal historical figures. You cannot find the literal physical Ark of the Covenant or Holy Grail. Those are visible in the stars, and they are pointing us towards these profound truths. But to say that they are not literal and historical is not to say that they're not true. It's just to say that they're not literal. They absolutely contain profound truths. And so in future episodes of the History Channel, maybe we can contact the writers of that series and have them look for the Ark of Noah or the Ark of the Covenant in some other places rather than just on the terrestrial sphere. They can be found in the stars.